Good evening, everyone. You are watching Social Chatter. And my name is Christian Karasevich. I want to welcome you to this week's episode. I'm going to bring our guest in here in a second. I'm going to bring in Nick, and I'm going to bring in Aaron Adel. So just give me 1 second. We're going to get ready to go live here. And we've got some really great things to talk with you tonight about, sharing social media news, social media updates to help keep your business on the cutting edge of social media. It's always changing every single week. And so this is, we love doing this. We love being able to help you as a business owner to really, to learn how these new updates work and, to not have to figure out how it works. We do that for you. So just give me 1 second here. We're going to go live here. And we've got some good topics to talk with you tonight about as well. We want to talk about a big one from Instagram this week. We also have some new stuff from WhatsApp. We haven't heard from WhatsApp in a while. And what else? I think we have maybe some Snapchat updates. So lots and lots of good stuff to talk about. But just bear with me, and we'll be going live in a second. Person we have, I think it's we have Business Aaron, which is Aaron Adel, by the way. He's our guest for tonight. Okay, so we're actually live now. So we're live. Let me bring my co-host, Mr. Nick Rishwain, on to the show. Nick, you should have an invite coming your way.
I am here. Can you hear me? How's my connection?
Can you do it?
Is my connection good?
Your connection actually looks very good. Mine looks like I'm in a haunted house.
Yeah, you need some better light in there.
It's interesting. Yeah. So this is the thing. I switched cameras. So I've got a new 4K camera. This definitely does not look like 4K.
It does not. It does not. I'm from the hotel room at Summit Live, so I'm hoping that this Wi-Fi stays strong. It has not been the best Wi-Fi this week.
We'll do what we can, right?
All right. Yep. Shall we bring in Biz Aaron? And I, in the comments, I said our guest tonight is Biz Aaron Adel, a friend of mine, and we certainly refer to him as Biz Aaron because Business Aaron is a whole different type of Aaron that he does on Snapchat, who is a really cheesy character who does social media guru stuff. So Biz Aaron is the one we want.
Gotcha. Okay. That works for you. Yeah, feel free to bring him on.
Yep. I can't bring him on. I think you have to. And you are frozen right now on my end.
Yes, because I actually was making some adjustments to my webcam to see if this will make some changes to it. Let's see.
Hello, Biz Aaron.
Hey,
I have the best lighting.
You do have the best
You've got
lighting.
way better lighting than I do.
Did we lose Chris?
Christian is just working on a fix for his webcam.
Okay.
How are you tonight, Biz Aaron?
Very good. Very good. You've made it very clear that Business Aaron is not welcome here, so I'll try to refrain. But
well, I
no
know that'll be difficult for you.
Yeah, very difficult.
Refrain is not one of your strong points.
No.
Hello,
Nick, can you hear me, Nick?
H&V is here. I guess I should head on over to Facebook Live and see how we're looking. Christian, let me know when you are back.
Hey Nick, let's start talking about something.
Yeah. No, I cannot hear you, Christian. And H&V, I do not know how you got into this account.
But I hear this is a really good place you can stick around. So maybe just stick around, H&V.
Stick around. We're going to tell you about some social media news. And hopefully Christian will be back in the near future. If you are wondering who Christian is, he is the man frozen at the top of my screen. So what we have for you tonight, and let me check our Facebook Live feed to make sure that's going. And I want to see if Christian is frozen over there. 1 second. I cannot seem to mute the Facebook. Okay, great. So Aaron Adel is our guest tonight. He is a social media consultant. He is a prolific Snapchatter, a less prolific Instagrammer, but you can find him on Instagram quite regularly these days, and a former social media manager for a company in Canada. He's located in Toronto, and he's a good friend of mine, and we're happy to have you here. Aaron, can you tell us a little bit about yourself that
Sure.
I didn't cover?
Sure. So I managed social media and website for a natural health products distributor for 4 years. And some of the other things that I'm known for in the digital world is in 1997, I started a website all about the Toronto transit system because there was no other website like it, and there was no way for anybody else in any other parts of the world to see what Toronto's transit system was like. So I started that, and that website is still running today with about half a dozen volunteers, and it's grown to become one of the largest historical databases of Toronto transit on the entire web.
Wow. And that's something I did not know about you. And so that isn't something that is run by the Transit Authority or particular, no. It's non-governmental organization?
No, it's purely, well, I started it and I don't really do much with it now, but the volunteers that came on board are now running it.
Excellent.
And, I'm sorry I didn't tell you that before, but I'm the type of person that if you want to know something, you have to start asking questions. So I guess you're going to find out a lot about me tonight.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not too much, because I don't want to ask that many questions about you. Christian, are you back with us?
I am. Can you hear me or see me?
We can hear and see you. The light seems to improve some. We're getting it's actually kind of a cool lighting that you've got going on here. It looks a little ghostly in a way, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. It's really strange.
Okay, well, let's start in with the show tonight, and then I'm going to get back to the festivities of Summit Live. I should share for folks, I am at Summit Live, the live video conference in Los Angeles, and did have some individuals. We had some great plans for the show that were just weren't going to be feasible. I was going to have everybody come in and hang out on my hotel room bed, but I knew it would be too loud, and so we just avoided it altogether. Some friends of Aaron's and mine, and in some of our past guests. So I had to scuttle those plans because it was just going to be too loud. So should I get into our first story for tonight then, Christian? Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. By the way,
Okay.
Aaron, very nice to meet you, and we'll have to meet in person sometime.
Yes, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, you guys are on the same coast, although Aaron is in Canada. You guys are on the same coast, so it may be worth a visit in the near future.
Where are you, Christian?
I'm over in Washington, D.C.
Oh, we should talk a little later after this.
Okay.
Yeah. So our first story up for the evening is Instagram multiple photos and videos in one post on Instagram. So this is a new update starting let's see what day. This came out February 22nd. You can share multiple photos and videos in one post on Instagram. With this update, you no longer have to choose the single best photo or video from an experience you want to remember. Now, you can combine up to 10 photos and videos in one post and swipe through to see them all. This kind of goes hand in hand with a story that we talked about not too long ago, Christian. Similar to this looks a little bit different than the album idea. It's more of a swipe to see the next picture type of thing. I don't know if this is separate from the albums or just a addition to the possible upcoming Snapchat albums. But Aaron, what are your thoughts on the? I've liked Instagram for the individual images or the individual video. I like that aspect of them. I don't know that I want to spend a lot of time swiping through to see somebody's event. I thought it was nice that I could just see one image. What are your thoughts?
Let me tell you something that I have mentioned before in past stories about Instagram stories. And the thing that I find a little bit jarring about the interface is the stories along the top, you have to swipe from side to side, which is not very a very natural motion. The up and down swipe that we know of Instagram scrolling through photos is a little bit more natural. And I don't know how I feel about having to scroll up and down through the photo feed, and now I'm going to have to go from side to side. It just seems that they keep introducing this unnatural swipe motion that is different from the up and down. So I don't know how I feel about that. But the pro side of this whole thing is if somebody wants to post multiple photos, and I don't want to scroll from side to side, maybe I'm going to end up seeing less photos of the same thing or similar things.
Good points. Good points. Christian, your thoughts on the new update?
I think this is okay. So I think on one hand, I talked about this last week. This reminds me of Facebook's whole carousel ad setup. Basically, where you get partial like parts of a photo and you can easily swipe through it. This is going to be very useful, for instance, if I'm a business, and I want to do like a step-by-step tutorial. This will be fantastic for that because I can do step 1, step 2, step 3. And because I can combine up to 10 photos and videos, I actually could theoretically do individual photos and then have maybe a video at the end or something showing like, the final product or something. So I think this is going to be fantastic, but I do agree with Aaron on, just the natural direction of swiping. The motion, they are a little different, but I am seeing so far some really cool stuff that's being done from a lot of businesses so far, actually, that have tried this out.
Very cool. I believe our former guest, Joe Wilson at Joe Wilson TV, who actually was a speaker here at Summit Live and who just absolutely killed it a few hours ago. I think he liked the idea of this for the storytelling aspect. He thought that this would be a great way to continue a story, or that the album itself would also be a great way to tell the story, much in the way that you just mentioned, Christian.
And by the way, the other thing is, we haven't talked about this much, but Instagram at some point is going to have, more, I think they're going to probably have more link clicks off the things. So let's just put the situation out there. I mean, you can upload multiple photos and videos now. It's a little different. People have to get used to the motions of things. But you could also incorporate all of your photos. You can incorporate your video, and then maybe at the end, maybe there's something that somebody has to tap to take them off to a blog post or something as well.
Very, very possible. Very possible. What are your thoughts, Aaron? Any additional thoughts on this unnatural, what you feel is an unnatural use of Instagram?
I think that if they did somehow incorporate workable links around this time as they're introducing this, Instagram will become a lot more useful overall for for using as a springboard to your blog. Right now, it's just check the link in my bio, which can get very tedious at times because if you keep changing the link in your bio after each post, the previous post becomes redundant. So there's that problem. So if they can just include the ability to click links, this whole carousel thing would lead to a lot of great things.
Yeah, I think that's another good point. Another good point. And I do want to welcome all the visitors we're having over on Facebook Live. We've got several people from Summit Live, several of the people that I wanted to bring here. Since Bree asks, we've got Bree Palmer, we've got Adam Purcell, we've got Nat, we've got Rachel Moore, Bill Wilson, Joanne Kroll. We've got quite a few people from Summit here. These are many of the folks that we wanted to bring in and sit on the hotel room. Chris McManamy is also joined in, so we welcome them all. These are all some friends of both Aaron and I as well. Our next story, moving right along, is Facebook is putting a Snapchat clone inside of WhatsApp. Facebook is, and this story comes from Mashable, and this came out on, I don't see a date on this. Was this just a couple of days ago that they mentioned this one, Christian, that this article?
Yeah, a couple of days. It was like, let's see, yeah, about 3 days ago.
3 days ago. So Facebook is just about to start pushing its next Snapchat clone. They're not even hiding it anymore at this point. On a new set of 1 billion users. WhatsApp is now starting to roll out its own version of stories with an update to its status feature. Launching now in the Netherlands and France, the feature will eventually be live in all countries where the messaging app is available. And this is essentially, it's like tests that were previously seen. The feature lives in a new dedicated section of the app alongside your chats and call logs. There you can update your status with photos, videos, clips, and of course, emojis, doodles, and text. So it'd be like the lenses and the filters and the text that you can use in Snapchat. So this is now going to be in WhatsApp. We've seen this happen in Facebook Messenger. We've seen it happen in Facebook. So it appears that we will be seeing it now in WhatsApp for those who are using WhatsApp. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
I am not a very heavy WhatsApp user, so once this feature rolls out, I might be, if I was to produce a story, maybe 3 or 4 people would see it. Am I going to spend time building a WhatsApp network now that I've built a Twitter network and a Snapchat network and an Instagram network? Like, am I going to build another network? That's the question. That's something that I have to consider. So I guess I have to ask myself, how many of my friends that are on WhatsApp are going to invest the time in this, and do I need to be there? Now, I haven't had a chance to download the update because I'm in Canada and we always get to have the fun stuff last. So I haven't really had a chance to have a look at it, but maybe once I look at it and see the layout, maybe something will hit me and I'll say, hey, this looks something I would want to use. And I might announce on my Snapchat, hey, you got WhatsApp? Add me there. Let's go have some fun. But I have to see it first before we make any judgment about it.
Okay, fair enough. And Christian, your thoughts?
I think that I'm very glad that they put this in its own dedicated tab. I think, I think because if you use WhatsApp, I mean, a lot of times I usually use it for business. You're on a trip and it's like, hey, let's all meet up, and everybody happens to have, WhatsApp because, there are all these different locations around the world. It makes a lot of sense to have it in a dedicated tab because I really don't see it fitting into the WhatsApp structure. But I think this is actually going to be a long-term play for Facebook. Here's why. So okay. I think this is going to be, everybody knows Facebook owns WhatsApp. They also own Instagram. This is going to be a long-term play because I think they're going to start to move Messenger and all their messaging platforms into probably Facebook, I think, at some point. So by incorporating, I think, some of these different styles, for instance, you have the Snapchat style into WhatsApp. It gets people kind of used to it. Then they move into Messenger. They know how, that kind of works. And then they move into Instagram and it has similar features. I think you'll see at some point, convergence of all of that.
Excellent. Excellent. So we have next on our list. Now, I only have 3 actual topics tonight. Is that how many I sent to you, Aaron? Because I was sort of busy today talking with people at Summit Live. So our third topic And correct me if there's a fourth one that I did not send, but let's go on to our third one. We have, you can now transfer money internationally through Facebook. So forget about likes and shares. You can now transfer your money. This comes from CNN Tech. The money transfer startup TransferWire has launched a new chat bot that enables Facebook users to move funds abroad using the social platform's messenger service. The bot can be used to move money between the US and Canada, Australia, and the European Union. It will also notify users via an alert when the regularly used currencies hit favorable rates. Facebook users were previously able to transfer money within the US, but not between accounts in foreign countries. Now we have a little bit of an example here for you that that Aaron and I have had experience with. We tried to transfer money from the US to Canada because Aaron was building a website for me for my other show, Legal Tech Live. And we had some difficulties. I ended up, after several attempts to transfer money to Canada, having to send a written check, which just was awful. It was just awful that I had to write a check and send it to him. So that was our experience. Aaron, what are your thoughts on this? This sounds like a way to solve the problem that we had.
The problem that we were having was the fact that everything that we tried to do was not America, Canada compliant.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is truly international and it works that way, this will solve the problem. So I'm all for it.
I'm all for it, because the next time I need you to work on something, I'd like to be able to get it in a timely manner. It was, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but it was kind of a nightmare, wasn't it?
Yeah, we even considered exchanging Snap Cash. That's how desperate we were.
We attempted Snap Cash. We attempted PayPal. We attempted a banking quick pay system, and none of those were able to transfer the relatively small amount of money internationally. So, Christian, what are your thoughts about this?
So what was the issue exactly when you went to do that? Was it because of, banking? Like, I know Canada, for instance, is very strict on, for instance, I can't even go into a bank and change money if I don't have an account there. Was that kind of the issue? Like, was there a specific error that was coming up, or?
No, we did not necessarily get any errors. We got, this could not happen. We could not do it. So what we think is this banking regulations, post 9/11, transfers of money internationally through banks have become much more difficult, or internationally, period, have come much more difficult. And that is what we believe was keeping us from being able to do this. Although they didn't indicate to us that was the reason, it just would not go through.
So I think that overall, I like the idea. Like, I think for one, this is actually good to see other companies starting to do chatbots and, come up with solutions for some problems that people are having. I think one, a lot of people have been kind of hesitant to get into using chatbots. And I think if you have something that is, that is easy to use. I mean, the one thing you also touched on, I think that to me was actually like good to hear, was that I think it said it would like notify you when the rates were at like favorable levels or something like that. I like that I'm seeing something that's useful versus like, hey, it's just another way to send money. Because, I'm glad it solves the international piece, but I like the fact that it also kind of ties in some of that information that you normally would want at your disposal when you're going to, transfer money, versus like, hey, let me go, you go to transfer money and you get hit with, a ridiculous amount, a ridiculous fee or something, or just a terrible rate exchange. I like the fact that this does, gives you some of that stuff too. So I think it's going to be a good example for other businesses that are looking to get into chatbots, or either learn about them and see what they can actually do. So,
okay, excellent.
Aaron, what do you think?
Was that Aaron or Nick? I missed that. We were getting heavily trolled, I might add. We were getting heavily trolled on the Facebook page by some of the folks who are having a really good time in at Summit Live and encouraging me to do social bad, and I'm just encouraging them to join us at 10 minutes before the hour so we can have some folks on live.
So that was Aaron. It's funny, actually. I'm only seeing a handful of comments on Facebook. That's interesting.
Oh, you are? Yeah. Mine is surprisingly working quite well, which is not how it usually works with Facebook Live comments.
Yeah.
They usually work very poorly.
Okay. Yeah. So that was actually for Aaron. Aaron, what do you think about this one? Do you like the idea of this messenger chatbot? Do you see any concerns with it? What are your thoughts?
If it means I can transfer money, or if I can transfer money if Nick can transfer money to me easier, then I'm all for it. I don't know if this isn't really related, but today I was at the bank, and it was the first bank that I had ever been in where there were no tellers. It was just, they had replaced the teller desks with machines, and they had employees there, but they were standing around looking kind of useless, just helping people with the machines. And it kind of made me nervous for them, because it's like they're helping us to use machines to do their jobs, and they're like slowly fading away, and they're just kind of standing there. And the last thing that they have to do is help us to use the machines. And once we know how to do that, we'll never know from tellers ever again. So that was kind of an interesting experience. But I mean, we're all, it seems like everything is going in this way where we're going electronic with everything, especially with money. But I mean, there have always been so many different ways to do transactions, but it would be nice if they could make it a little bit more streamlined, so that in the example of Nick and I, we could just do it easily from anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And preferably the next time I have to pay my PG&E bill or something like that, I can request money from Aaron, mm-hmm. And promptly get him to help support my lifestyle.
Right.
That would be a goal of mine.
Yeah, you and your lifestyle.
So those were the three stories I believe I sent to you today, Aaron, but there were a couple of other topics, and it looks like we're ahead of schedule. Christian, did you want me to go into one of the Twitter Periscope topics?
We could pick one of those, actually. If we want to talk about either the Twitter Periscope feature, or we want to talk about the Twitter custom profiles, either one of those is actually fine.
I think, being that I'm at Summit Live and we're getting heavily trolled, including now Michelle Bakke and Rachel Moore. I think we're going to go with a live video. Twitter adds Periscope, and we all do have a Periscope event that we have all signed up for to go to tonight. I think we will go with Twitter adds Periscope's live videos to its top trends. So this comes from TechCrunch on February 15th. Twitter recently launched the Explore section, which we talked about on the show a couple of weeks back, and it will now feature live videos sourced from Periscope within its top trends. The company announced on the 14th. The company will further integrate Twitter's standalone live streaming app into its main platform, leaving even fewer reasons to keep the separate app dedicated to the live streaming video. Company has been criticized for its slow progress in integrating Periscope's live streaming capabilities into its own app, following the acquisition of the up-and-coming live broadcasting tool back in 2015. I think this is great. I think this should have been done long ago. Mm-hmm. I think we've watched it grow for quite some time in slow integration of Periscope into Twitter. Now there is the Periscope camera, the Periscope icon in Twitter Go Live, and I think that it's important that they move this along quickly, and they have been quite slow to do it. So what are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
You know what's dumb is that every single platform has some way you can live stream, Yet the one platform that you can't live stream from has this product that you can wear on your face, which would be perfect for live streaming. So is the question, is Snapchat ever going to come out with live streaming, or are the other platforms going to come out with wearables? Because somewhere along the line, like we gotta sort this out and make one of them has to sort of come out and do it right.
I will say this. I want to kind of jump in on this one. So I think that and Nick, you and I talked about this. When back in December when I got the Snapchat Spectacles, like I could see the Snapchat Spectacles. It's almost like it needs to be a test. Like it needs to, they need to see, are people going to get used to it? Are people going to be, are they going to feel comfortable like when you go into a store or wherever it is with these items on, and doing some sort of recording? I felt, like when I got them, I was in New York. I didn't have any issues wearing them around because everybody was asking me about them. But I think if you go to, at one point I did feel a little uncomfortable when I was on the subway and I was just messing with them. And somebody said, "Hey, are those the glasses?" And I said, "Yes, they are." But I didn't really know, okay, is this person going to actually just ask me questions, or is somebody going to beat me up because I'm recording, testing out recording video, So I think there's still going to be some time where it's going to have to get to a point where I think the public is going to start to feel more comfortable having them. I would love to see Facebook have these out. I actually think Facebook and all the other platforms, I think they're going to probably steal a page out of Snapchat's book on this and come out with their own device, because you can't always be tied to a phone. And by the way, I can't see the comments you guys are laughing at, but
they're going to steal one page. They're going to steal one page out of Snapchat's book. I think they've stolen the whole book.
Yeah. Okay. You're absolutely right. They stole the whole book, but
they did.
Do what?
They did. They stole the whole book. And you are, Christian, you are missing some phenomenal some phenomenal commentary from our other Summit Live attendees. But I'm sure you'll get a chance. You'll catch up with it after the show.
All of these people on Facebook that are trolling. This is the baggage that Nick and I bring with us everywhere.
Everywhere we go. And I do hope that these folks who are calling this Beard Con and Beard Summit and all that, why don't you folks just, I know you're lazy and slothful, but if you'll just come up to room 815 in about 15 minutes, we'll let you come on live for a short time as we wrap up.
That's a great idea. Considering I can't be there, I'd love to see everybody.
Yeah. I think that'll add a little something. So come up to room 815. If you could leave Michelle Baki behind, that would be ideal. So sorry, Christian.
Have a good night, everyone.
This is what it's been like today. So that is, I think the Twitter ads Periscope live video, I think they should have had these to get back on topic. I think they should have put these live videos in the top trends long ago. I think that they have been really slow to get this done, and I think it needs to be done. That's where I'm at on this particular topic. I love Twitter. I enjoy Periscope. I think that they need to really integrate much more quickly than they have in the past.
Definitely. I think it's definitely something that they should be doing. I mean, I like the fact that, it's almost every week we're getting something new from Twitter, that they're, moving a little bit faster on this. I do have a question. What do you guys think? Do you think Twitter does this better, or do you think Facebook is actually going to do the video tab better, with servicing content? Because that really is the name of the game. It's not about, hey, everybody publish some video. It's also about getting that in front of an audience.
Yeah, I do not like the Facebook video, the way they notify me every time somebody goes, and I know I haven't turned that off, and I can have that control over me. I'm not a big fan of it right now, the way that they do that. and I just haven't gotten to turn it off because anytime you go into the settings on Facebook, being that I am not a huge user of Facebook, it feels like a nightmare to fix my settings. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
It feels like a nightmare to do anything on Facebook. Twitter has always been easier and more streamlined for me. I spend more time there. Inevitably, I'm going to have to be on Facebook from time to time to do certain things. But the user experience on Facebook has always been very cumbersome. So I think Twitter, just by virtue of that, I can imagine they'll make it much neater.
Yeah, I think that could be true. That could be true. Shall we move into? We are way ahead of schedule tonight. Let's talk about the fact that you can now buy spectacles, or as Chris Behrman has created his own skepticals, you can now buy them online. What are your thoughts about? I think this was a real late rollout on the spectacles being sold online. I am surprised that it took them that long to do it. Is that a manufacturing or production issue? I don't know, but I think this is a good move. I just think it was pretty slow for Snapchat to get this done. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
I don't think it was too slow or too fast. They spent a reasonable amount of time building up hype about them. I don't really follow that many people on Snapchat, but I saw my fair share of people using them. So I had my exposure to them, and I saw what could be done with them. So I feel like if I got enough exposure to them, and I know that they exist and what they're all about, the slow rollout was sufficient time. I'm telling you though, I'm not in a hurry to buy a pair. I can tell you that.
Right.
I don't feel like I need them.
So I will say this, I'm glad that I think they rolled them out very slowly for a reason. I think that was partly to get, user adoption, like to get, part of it was to get people talking about them enough to where, you talk about them and then it's like, well, hey, where can I get these? And it's like, oh, you can't get them, but in these very limited places. It made you keep an eye on Snapchat. I think this also probably had something to do with the IPO coming up. Not sure when that's going to actually go live, but I know they've been talking about that rollout there. Now, on the other hand, though, I think that these are actually a very good tool for any business owner to have. And the reason why is because they're not just, you can use them. Yes, you use them to take, circular videos that you share on Snapchat, but you can download your videos to your device and then share them on, Instagram, or, compile them into a YouTube video. Like, there's lots of different things you can do with them. So while on one hand, I think they are, a lot of people, and I would say, don't think that, like, just because they're not using Snapchat very much, you should consider getting a pair, I think. And the reason why is because I think that, it gives you a way to make your videos more creative and to kind of stand out from, what everybody else is kind of doing.
Yeah, I think Aaron is correct in this, in his earlier comments, that although I do not think that Snapchat necessarily has to go the live video route, I do think that the spectacles are the way to do it. That would be the primary way to really do some live video. They now have the tool to do it. If they can integrate that in live video, I think they should do it through the spectacles.
Consider this. I've said that I'm in no hurry to buy spectacles. However, I'm a really good Snapchatter. So even if I did get my hands on a pair of spectacles, I imagine that I would probably do something way more interesting with them than anybody else has done.
Oh, I'm sure that's the case. Christian, can you would you like to move us into some tools?
Absolutely, yeah. Let me post this comment real quick. By the way, I'm putting a link in the on the Facebook page for people that, you know, are wondering, well, hey, you know what can I do? Like, can I use spectacles for Instagram videos? Yes, I definitely think you can. So, so let's talk about tool number one for tonight. So I have two tools for you this week. Nick and I, you know, we've kind of made a decision to, you know, cut back a little bit on the tools, you know, because we know, hey, if we're introducing 3 tools every single week, that's a lot of tools to keep up with. So the first one is, I want to say this, like, maybe I'm saying this right. TwIM, maybe that's the correct way, because basically what this is, yeah, go ahead.
TwIM.
Is it TwIM?
TwIM.
Okay.
And I figured out the name. I'll explain it in a minute.
Okay, so basically what this is, cool. It's basically a modern take on Twitter direct messages. And so, you know, instead of going to Twitter direct messages and, you know, kind of going through that kind of awkward phase of sending a direct message to somebody, this app, by the way, it's a free app, lets you, you know, basically it's a modern take on Twitter direct messages, but, you know, you can do some really cool stuff with it. So you can search for users on Twitter by their name, by their username, but you all don't have to have TwIM either to be able to run this. So that's one great thing. You can send messages, but it also does, you know, if you're an iOS user, when you send, for instance, text links to somebody, it basically gives you a preview. So TwIM will actually now give you a preview of anything that you're sending back and forth to somebody. So, hey, if somebody sends you all those really crappy, you know, DM direct messages, the ones that say, hey, you know, I want to make $100,000 in, you know, 3 months, sign up for my, you know, let's connect or something ridiculous. You at least can see what you're potentially getting there with the link now. And it also has, they're calling them TwImojis. So it's basically also another way to have like emojis in your Twitter direct messages. So that's tool one. Okay. So go ahead, Aaron. What are your thoughts on this one?
Okay, well, the name, I think, is a play on the word trim, as in trim the fat.
Okay.
And the way I understood it is it basically takes direct messages from Twitter and isolates them into a separate app, much like Facebook did when they isolated messages and you created Messenger. So they took the messaging out of Facebook and made a separate app for it. Now, I know this isn't a Twitter product, but this is sort of how I see it. It's a similar idea where they've isolated it. So they've trimmed the fat and isolated a feature, and TwIM is like TW is Twitter, and TwIM is, I guess, a childish way to say trim.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that's how they came up with the name. I think it's a great idea if you're a heavy direct message user. And it's interesting that this is not a Twitter product. And I sort of wondered, what if Twitter did this? Would this be well received if Twitter did this? If Twitter did what Facebook did and isolated the messaging into a separate area? That way you could manage because a lot of people are upset on Twitter and they don't like Twitter because of all the spam. So what if they solved that problem by creating a direct message powerhouse that you could manage all of that and maybe try and cut some of that down? So that's sort of what I thought when I saw this tool. Would I download this app and use it? Probably not. The native Twitter app for direct messages suits me just fine, and it does everything that I need it to do.
By the way, you actually had me thinking about another. So you mentioned something I think that's really important. So like you talked about, like, hey, you know what, isolating direct messages. So essentially, it's like, you know, the big thing with Twitter has always been you can drink out of the fire hose, but you can never turn it off. But this actually makes me think also, because one of the challenges Twitter has always had is just, you know, it's ease of use. A lot of people have said they found it difficult to use Twitter. Now, I was actually thinking when you were talking about this, is it more like the fact that, hey, this is very similar to Facebook Messenger. People are used to that. It's not very complicated. So that actually got me thinking, hey, you know what? Would it make sense for Twitter to revamp their direct messages to make, you know, the platform more, you know, more fun, more engaging with an emoji piece, you know, the ability to preview links, you know, and so forth, to make the platform easier to use and possibly bring users back into the platform?
That's a good idea. I think
It's definitely a good idea. In fact, if I could use if I could use Twitter direct messages in a similar way that I use Snapchat, that would be great. Like, what if I could send you an audio message through Twitter? What if I could send you a 10-second video through Twitter privately? Like, imagine the possibilities there. Maybe if those features were included, you never know what you might receive on Twitter. Maybe people who think they need to spam you on Twitter might send you audio messages instead, or videos. Be a little bit more creative with their spam.
And by the way, you could even incorporate the Vine camera app into that. So that way, you have a quick way to, record just really short videos, and, it's one less app people have.
Is this an idea that you had, or is this something that has already been done?
No, this is kind of, so there is the Vine camera app. So they basically took Vine and they made it just a camera app.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about hey, you could record little short videos. That's essentially what Vine camera app does.
Well, that's a great idea. That's a very good idea. And that's something good for you. That's you should
very well.
Yeah.
Rolled it out really poorly, which is what we're seeing again from Twitter. It's unfortunate. What's our next tool, Christian? In case it gets loud in here, there is talk of people going to in and out rather than coming to be on the broadcast with us. But just in case it got loud, what is the next tool?
The last tool actually for tonight is it's OptinMonster, and I want to share this one because a lot of people are talking about, hey, they have a hard time, for instance, generating leads on their website, getting people to either A, sign up for a newsletter, B, they're not really sure where to place these things. They put it in a static place on their website, and it just kind of sits there. So OptinMonster, it is basically a form builder essentially for your website. It's a way to capture a lot of those leads, but they have a lot of really cool technology built into their forms. So it's not just and the reason I bring this up is because the average person, so they use an email newsletter. So let's just say you use Aweber or MailChimp. So you get an email form there, and then some people will also use lead pages, for example. So therefore, they might have a click that somebody does, and it pops up a box. And then a third tool might be, let's see. So another one might be hey, we have, I think there was Hello Bar or something at some point where you could have certain messages at certain parts of your website that would kind of be stationary. So you had 3 different types of forms all over your site. Now, what OptinMonster does is it essentially has all of these features. So it's got multiple types of forms that you can build. It does split testing. It has some really great, it's really easy to implement. And what's also really cool is they have some amazing integrations. So I could say, let me build a form that is only good for people that are viewing this particular category on my blog or this particular blog post. And it's literally a form that's tied into that one piece. And so it only fires when people are viewing that particular piece of content or that rule. So that's OptinMonster for you.
I like that.
I like it. I use it a lot of.
I've never used it before. So all I can say is if it's, I know it's not a new tool, but if it's new to me, if it's something that I can use without too much trouble, then it's probably a good tool.
I mean, they make it. I've been using it for a number of years, and I actually use it on the social stuff site. Works perfect. The part that I can't wait to tap into more is just all of the ability to have certain pages to have content have it only fire on certain pages, because this way, a lot of people, they put one form. You can't put 10 forms on your site because each time they fire, it can get just confusing. The benefit here is it gives you the ability to tailor the content based on what somebody is reading. So it makes you think more about, more strategically about what you're publishing, what type of story you're telling for your audience.
Right. Excellent.
So that's tool 2 for tonight.
That's it. And that wraps it up. Up the content. But Aaron, can you tell us, since you are a guest tonight, are you working on anything special that we need to know about? Anything interesting, exciting, special? And also we'd like to know where to tell people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at bizaaron.com, B-I-Z, or Z if you're American, bizaaron.com. And one thing that I've been working on with a friend of mine by the name of Bill Flannery is he and I have come up with this idea. Bill Flannery is a restaurant, a high-end restaurant supplies sales rep for a company called Boucher Hep in the States. And he and I were sort of talking about the products that he sells, and we both sort of came up with this idea that he would send a bunch of people on Snapchat a bowl to take to their favorite restaurant and have that restaurant serve them soup, and then they would create a Snapchat story out of it. So there's all of these stories that are being created by our community of people eating soup in their favorite restaurant out of Bill's bowls. And Bill's company is getting some nice exposure out of this, and it's quite an interesting thing that's just organically evolved. And so the first group of about 14 or 15 people did this, and then we decided to start with a second group. So there's another dozen people doing this, and there will probably be a third group. And it's making for some really, really interesting user-created content. So this is not content that Boucher Hep is creating. This is content that other people are creating that Boucher Hep can then use to promote their products, but not in a promotional way, like in a salesy way, but just in a very interesting storytelling sort of way. So it's making for some great content. And I mean, it's a really good model for just for marketing. It's like it's given us some really good ideas in this whole process of doing this. So that's been quite fun and noteworthy. Excellent. So if you want to check, if anybody's watching or who wants to check out some of the stories, if you go on Twitter and look at the hashtag #MyBowlStory, all one word is a hashtag, you can see some of the great videos that are out there.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. It was fun to participate in it in the first round, and it'll be interesting to see what folks do in the second round.
I definitely would love to chat with him because I eat a lot of soup in the area, Matt. I have a lot of pho. I have a lot of, a lot of different soups around here. And so, I think this is really cool. I definitely think he also should make sure he's, he's encouraging people, like, even if they're on Instagram as well, to, create that content, but also to make sure they're tagging him, or at least he's running the right, using the right tools to be able to actually, track who else talking about him, even though they might not use the hashtag. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool.
Well, you may have the opportunity to talk with Bill or even meet him because he's also in the DC area.
Yeah, he's not far from you, Christian.
Yeah.
Not far from you. And Christian and Bill might find some collaboration there because Christian went to culinary school before his social media days. He's quite the chef. So there could be some real good collaboration there.
Yeah, and his logo for Social Chefs is basically social media in a bowl.
That's right. Yeah. Well, guys, that's it. It doesn't look like the trolls from Facebook Live will be coming. It seems that you scared them off, Aaron, and that they did not want to see you or say hi on live video. So we'll try and get them to Periscope you because we know that you've missed out here or missed us today in this week. But I think that's all I've got for this evening, gentlemen. Christian, do you have anything to share?
Actually, I have two quick things. Okay. So the first thing is, let's talk about next week's show. So
Okay.
for those of you watching, Huzzah, they basically are shutting down next week, I think, right? A couple days.
March 1st.
So we are going to be moving over to the Social Chefs Facebook page. So every video, every live video, every episode of Social Chatter will be there at facebook.com/social chefs. So if you want to watch next week's show, just go there and we'll have the video up for you to watch. We're also working on, Nick and I are working on some really great things that we will be rolling out over the next few weeks. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun actually making this transition.
Yeah, exciting. Aaron, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. As much as I give Aaron a hard time, he is a good friend and I like him a great deal. So we are able to do this, and he realizes that I mean it all with no due respect, but I do mean it out of love. So,
well, thank you so much for inviting me to come on. It's been fun.
And we hope you'll come back and join us again in the future when we're new platforms, when we're savvy on our new platform and in our new home over on the Facebook Live Social Chefs.
I'm so glad that I got to have my first Huzzah experience with only days remaining.
With only days remaining. Yes. Was that both the things you wanted to share, Christian? Was there one more? Did I?
No, that was actually, that was mainly it actually, that. And then
that was it. Okay.
For people that want to get into get on the email newsletter, just go to socialchefs.com/subscribe. That'll get you on our list. Basically, I'll send you an email the day of the show with some of the topics we're going to talk about and a recap to last week's show. So
excellent. Well, I'm going to go to one of the several parties that are going on. We don't know if it's going to be the Busker party, the Periscope party, or if we're going to avoid parties altogether. I don't know, but I am being I have some trolls down in the lobby of the Millennium Biltmore, and I'm going to go see them now.
You guys have fun, and it's been a blast having you guys on tonight. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes, or for taking an hour basically to spend with us. I know you all have a lot going on at Summit Live. Say hi to Ross, Joe, who else we have, everyone that's there that, we've had on as guests and whatnot. So
yeah, I will. I'll let everybody know. Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, good evening.
See you guys later. Thanks, Aaron.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Bye-bye.